Every day we make choices: what to buy, who to trust, when to say yes or no. But what if many of these decisions are not truly our own? In Influence, Robert Cialdini uncovers the hidden psychology behind persuasion. He explains how six powerful principles shape our decisions, often without us even noticing. This book is valuable because it helps you recognize when someone is trying to influence you, whether in sales, marketing, or daily conversations. By understanding these techniques, you can make smarter choices and even use them to your advantage. Influence is a must read for anyone who wants to take control of their decisions. Chapter 1: Weapons of Influence. People rely on mental shortcuts to make decisions quickly and efficiently. These shortcuts, known as fixed action patterns, help in daily life, but can also be exploited by others. When faced with too much information or the need to act fast, individuals often follow automatic responses rather than carefully analyzing every situation. These responses can be triggered by specific cues, making them predictable and at times easy to manipulate. A well known example comes from animal behavior. Mother turkeys instinctively care for their chicks when they hear a cheep, cheep sound. Researchers found that even a stuffed polecat, a natural enemy of turkeys, was accepted as a chick if it made the right noise. However, when the same polecat was silent, the mother attacked it. This shows how automatic responses can override logic. Humans also follow similar patterns. In one case, a jewelry store struggled to sell turquoise pieces. By accident, the owner doubled the price instead of lowering it. Surprisingly, the jewelry sold out quickly because customers assumed that a higher price meant better quality. Their decision wasn't based on careful evaluation, but on an automatic response linking price with value. Another example is the contrast principle. When people see an expensive item first, a slightly cheaper item seems like a bargain, even if it is still overpriced. Salespeople use this technique to make a second item appear more affordable in comparison, even when the price remains high. This principle influences choices in various situations, from shopping to negotiations. These mental shortcuts are useful in everyday life, allowing people to function efficiently without overthinking every decision. However, they can also be used as tools of persuasion and manipulation. Advertisers, marketers, and even scammers take advantage of these automatic responses to influence behavior. Recognizing these tactics allows individuals to make more informed choices and avoid being unknowingly persuaded. Chapter 2: Reciprocation. The old give and take. And take reciprocation is a powerful social rule that says when someone does something for you, you naturally feel obligated to return the favor. This principle is deeply ingrained in human behavior, shaping interactions in personal, social, and business settings. It is one of the most effective weapons of influence because it operates automatically, often without people even realizing it. A common example is when someone gives you a gift or does a favor, and you feel the need to return it, even if you didn't ask for the favor in the first place. This is a deeply rooted norm in many cultures, and violating it can lead to discomfort or guilt. For instance, a person might send you a small gift, like a free sample or a promotional item, with the expectation that you will feel inclined to purchase something from them in return. The initial gift is designed to trigger the obligation to reciprocate. The principle of reciprocation can be seen in many sales tactics. One of the most famous examples is a study where researchers gave people a small gift, like a soda or a mint, when they entered a store. These simple gestures made customers much more likely to make a purchase or leave a larger tip because they felt the urge to repay the kindness. This sense of obligation can often lead to decisions made on emotional impulses rather than rational thought. This principle also explains why people are often taken advantage of in social situations. A person might do a small favor for you, and in return, you may feel pressure to grant a larger favor, even if you don't want to. Sometimes the person doing the favor might not even expect a return favor immediately, but the psychological effect remains strong. The principle of reciprocation can also work in reverse, with people using it to manipulate others. A marketer might give a free gift or provide a service at no charge, knowing that the recipient will feel compelled to reciprocate, often by purchasing something. This creates a sense of indebtedness, even if the initial exchange was not requested. Overall, the principle of reciprocation is a fundamental part of human interaction that often influences decisions without conscious awareness. Recognizing this tactic can help people avoid being manipulated and make more deliberate, thoughtful choices. Chapter 3: Commitment and Consistency. Hobgoblins of the Mind. Humans have a strong desire to appear consistent in their actions and beliefs. This need for consistency can lead people to make decisions that align with previous commitments, even if those decisions are not in their best interest. The principle of commitment and consistency is a powerful tool for influence because once someone commits to something, whether publicly or privately, they are more likely to follow through with it, often to a greater extent than they originally intended. One classic example of this principle is a study where participants were asked to sign a petition supporting safe driving. Later, the same individuals were asked to display a large, ugly sign in their front yards promoting safe driving. Those who had previously signed the petition were much more likely to agree to the sign request, even though it was a much bigger commitment. The initial small commitment, signing the petition, created a sense of consistency, making it harder to refuse the larger request. This principle also plays out in everyday life. For example, a salesperson might ask you to try a small sample of a product. Once you agree to try it, the likelihood that you'll purchase the product increases because your action has committed you to it. People often feel a psychological need to remain consistent with their previous actions, even if those actions don't make sense in the moment. The consistency principle works even when people are unaware of it. When people are asked to commit to a decision, they tend to justify and rationalize their behavior afterward. This happens because people have a strong need to appear consistent to themselves and others. This can lead to situations where they stick to a decision or belief, even when faced with contrary evidence, simply to avoid cognitive dissonance. In social and business contexts, this principle is often used to create compliance. For instance, a charity might ask for a small donation first. Once you've made that small commitment, you're much more likely to make a larger donation later, even if it wasn't your original intention. This tactic exploits the human desire for consistency and the discomfort that arises when people act inconsistently with their past actions. The commitment and consistency principle explains why people often find it difficult to change their minds or behaviors, even when faced with new information. It is not just about staying consistent in trivial matters, but about maintaining a sense of personal integrity. Understanding this principle can help individuals recognize when they are being influenced by it and make decisions that are more rational and less driven by the need to appear consistent. Chapter 4: Social Proof. Truths Are Us. Humans have a natural tendency to look to others for guidance when making decisions, especially in uncertain situations. This principle, known as social proof, suggests that we often believe something is correct if we see others doing it. We rely on the actions and behaviors of others to guide our own, assuming that if many people are doing something, it must be the right thing to do. A clear example of social proof is seen in the context of crowds. If you're unsure about where to go in a new city, you might follow the crowd, assuming they know the best route. Similarly, if you're at a restaurant and see a long line of people waiting outside, you might assume that the food is good, even if you have no prior knowledge of the restaurant. The presence of others' actions convinces you that it must be the right choice. The power of social proof is particularly strong in ambiguous or uncertain situations. When we are unsure of how to act or what to believe, we look to the behavior of others as a shortcut. For example, if you see others laughing in a room, you are more likely to assume the situation is funny, even if you don't fully understand it yourself. Similarly, in the case of a commercial or an advertisement that shows large groups of people using a product, you may be more inclined to think it is popular and trustworthy. Social proof is often used deliberately in marketing and advertising. For example, testimonials, reviews, or celebrity endorsements are ways companies use social proof to make their products seem more desirable. If people see that others are satisfied with a product or service, they are more likely to trust it and make a purchase. One of the most powerful examples of social proof is the bystander effect, where people are less likely to help in an emergency situation when others are present. This phenomenon occurs because individuals look to the behavior of others to determine whether action is necessary. If no one else is helping, they may assume there's no need to intervene. In summary, social proof is a powerful influence on human behavior, often shaping our choices without us even realizing it. By understanding how social proof works, we can become more aware of its effects on our decisions, whether in social settings or when making consumer choices. Recognizing when social proof is being used can help people make more informed decisions rather than simply following the crowd. Chapter 5: Liking, the Friendly Thief. The principle of liking plays a crucial role in influencing people's decisions. Simply put, we are more likely to say yes to someone we like. Whether it's a friend, a colleague, or a salesperson, our personal feelings of affection toward them can significantly impact our choices, sometimes without us even realizing it. One major factor that increases liking is similarity. We tend to like people who are similar to us, whether it's in terms of background, opinions, or even appearance. In one study, participants were more likely to comply with a request from someone who shared similar interests, even when those similarities were trivial. For example, someone who enjoys the same hobbies or has the same taste in music can easily gain your trust and cooperation simply because you feel a connection. Another factor that enhances liking is compliments. People are more likely to be influenced by someone who gives them genuine praise or flattery. When someone tells us that we are smart, attractive, or capable, we naturally feel a sense of goodwill toward them, making us more willing to do something they ask. However, this can also be a tactic used to manipulate. Salespeople, for instance, often give compliments to build rapport and increase the likelihood of a sale. The principle of liking also explains why people tend to buy from people they know and feel comfortable with. This is why networking and building personal relationships are such powerful tools in business and sales. If a salesperson or business associate can establish a friendly connection, it can be easier to convince a customer to make a purchase, even if the decision isn't entirely rational. Cooperation is another aspect that influences liking. When people work together or are part of a group effort, they tend to develop positive feelings toward one another. This is why joint activities or collaborative efforts often lead to stronger connections and greater influence. In many cases, liking can be used to manipulate. A skilled salesperson can use charm, flattery, and a shared connection to influence a person's decisions. This is why it's important to be aware of how emotions like affection and liking can cloud judgment and lead to decisions that are not always in your best interest. In summary, the principle of liking shows how people's feelings toward others can strongly influence their behavior. By recognizing how we are affected by personal connections, we can make more deliberate and thoughtful decisions, rather than being swayed simply by someone's likability. Chapter 6: Authority. Directed deference. People tend to follow the guidance or commands of those they consider experts or in positions of power. This instinct to obey authority is deeply embedded in our behavior, and we often defer to those with expertise or status, even when we don't fully understand the reasons behind their decisions. Our trust in authority figures can lead us to make choices we might not otherwise make, simply because of their perceived knowledge or authority. A well-known example that demonstrates this power is the Milgram experiment. In this study, participants were instructed by an authority figure to administer what they thought were dangerous electric shocks to another person. Even though the actor receiving the shocks screamed in pain, many participants continued to follow the orders of the authority figure. This experiment shows how powerful authority can be, as people often follow commands, even when they go against personal morals or logic. In everyday situations, we tend to trust and listen to people in positions of authority. For example, we are more likely to accept a doctor's advice or follow a police officer's instructions because of their expertise or role. The presence of authority makes their guidance more persuasive, even when we might not fully understand it. A big part of this influence comes from perceived expertise. When someone is recognized as an expert, we are more inclined to trust them. For example, we tend to believe someone who is called a doctor or professor because these titles suggest knowledge and competence, making us more willing to follow their advice. Advertisers often use this technique by including professionals in their ads to make products seem more reliable. The uniform or appearance of authority also plays a key role. A police officer's uniform or a doctor's coat automatically makes someone seem more credible and worthy of trust. Studies show that people are more likely to listen to someone in authority, even if they don't know the person's qualifications, just because of their uniform or role. However, authority can also be used to manipulate. Companies and salespeople frequently rely on symbols of authority to make their products or services seem more trustworthy, persuading people to make decisions they might not have otherwise made. Understanding how authority can influence us helps us make more independent choices, rather than simply following those in power. In conclusion, our respect for authority shapes our behavior in powerful ways. By recognizing when authority is influencing our decisions, we can make more thoughtful choices and avoid being swayed by figures who may be using their position to persuade us. Chapter 7: Scarcity. the rule of the few. The concept of scarcity is simple. When something is in limited supply, we tend to value it more. This natural reaction is a powerful motivator in decision making, often driving us to act quickly or irrationally. The principle of scarcity works because we fear losing out on something that may not be available in the future, leading us to make choices that we might not otherwise make. One of the most common examples of scarcity in action is the limited time offer or only a few items left message seen in marketing. When people are told that a product is scarce, they often feel a sense of urgency to buy it before it's gone, even if they don't really need it. This sense of urgency creates a powerful psychological reaction. When something becomes scarce, it seems more valuable, and people are more likely to act impulsively to secure it. This same principle applies in many aspects of life. For instance, think about how people often react to a product being sold out. The moment it becomes unavailable, its desirability seems to increase. This can lead people to make hasty decisions, sometimes paying a higher price or accepting terms they would not have agreed to under normal circumstances. The fear of missing out on a rare opportunity can cloud judgment, making scarcity a strong tool for influence. Scarcity also taps into a basic human instinct, the desire to have what others can't. When something is perceived as rare, it creates a sense of exclusivity. People want to be part of the group that has access to what is limited, whether it's a product, an experience, or even social status. For example, exclusive memberships or products with limited availability often create a rush of demand because people want what they believe they can't get easily. The fear of scarcity is also a key factor in social behaviors. People are often motivated to act by the perception that an opportunity might not come again. This is why sales, offers, or products that are labeled as limited can create a sense of urgency that drives action. People may buy things they don't need or even bid higher than they intended in an auction simply because they feel the pressure of scarcity. In summary, scarcity works by tapping into our fear of losing something valuable. Whether it's a product, a moment, or an opportunity, the fear that something might be gone can drive us to make decisions quickly and sometimes irrationally. Understanding the principle of scarcity can help individuals recognize when they are being influenced by the fear of missing out and make more thoughtful decisions rather than simply reacting to perceived scarcity. Chapter 8: Unity. The we is the shared me. Humans are deeply social beings, and we tend to be strongly influenced by a sense of unity, the feeling of being part of a group or collective. When people share common values, interests, or goals, they often feel a sense of connection that can motivate them to act in ways that benefit the group or even individuals within it. This desire for unity can be a powerful tool of influence because it taps into a deep need for belonging and shared identity. The principle of unity is based on the idea that we see the people we are connected to as an extension of ourselves. This means that when we identify with a group, whether it's a family, a team, a company, or a country, we often feel that their successes and failures reflect on us as individuals. When we feel a strong sense of connection with others, we are more likely to follow their lead and make decisions that align with the group's goals or beliefs. For example, in social groups or communities, people are often motivated to behave in ways that maintain harmony or strengthen their ties to others. If you belong to a sports team, you might be more likely to support the team's decisions, even if they don't personally align with your views, simply because you see the team's success as your success. Similarly, in families or close friendships, people often act in ways that reflect shared values or beliefs to maintain their unity and strengthen their bonds. Unity can also be used strategically in marketing and persuasion. Brands or organizations often create a sense of belonging by positioning their products or services as something that connects people who share common values. When consumers see a brand as part of their identity or group, they are more likely to make purchases and show loyalty to that brand. For example, companies like Apple or Nike have built strong communities of customers who feel a sense of unity with the brand. These consumers don't just buy products, they feel like they are part of something larger, a community that shares their ideals or lifestyle. The feeling of unity is also seen in political movements, religious groups, and social causes. Leaders often use this principle to rally people around a common purpose, creating a sense of us versus them or highlighting shared goals and values. This makes it easier for individuals to unite, overcome personal differences, and take collective action toward a common cause. In summary, unity is a powerful force that motivates people to act in accordance with the values or goals of the group they identify with. This shared identity can lead individuals to make decisions that align with the collective, even when it may not be the most rational choice. Recognizing the influence of unity can help people understand how deeply social connections shape their behavior and can make them more aware of when they are being influenced by their group identity.